Instead of leaving your archived candidates dormant in your database, let me show you a system that you can use to keep them engaged pending when you can place them. So for this, we're going to map out the ideas I have in my head, and then we can go in and build with that. Of course, everything I share on this channel is always just ideas on what you can, what is possible. You will take it into your strategy call or strategy meeting and, rework this to fit into how your team currently works and, are working and also working around the tools that you currently are using in your agency, right? So the first thing that we want to do here is, like I said, map it out on paper. In this case, I'm using whimsical whiteboard to do that. So I'm going to, get my shapes here. I'm going to get my diagram shapes here. I'm going to get my first one, which is going to be the rectangle. So my first thing that I'm thinking of is, okay, so what counts as dormant source? So say candidates that we tagged a particular stage. So I have a database, I have a sample database. So this, of course, you will connect to your ATS. So whatever ATS that you use, so depending on the stage that you use to segment them, so it can be like a rejected or a pending or whatever stage you want. But it has to be candidates that you have archived. So they came in for a particular role, but they were not a good fit. So you had to, close them out and archive them, right? So I have a couple stages in mind. So depending on what you currently use in your ATS, that's what you want to be looking out for. I don't know why this is taking so long. If I come to my own status, I can see that the status that I have here. So I think the best that fits into my archive would be the rejected, right? Of course, yours is going to be way better. So I think we are going to be working with rejected candidates. So we are going to search their database and find rejected candidates. Search DB, find rejected, right? So once we are able to find the rejected candidates, what we want to do is, of course, get their details, and then we want to go on the web to search for news and trends relating to them, right? We want to be able to tell them, okay, we know you're waiting to be placed, but here's something that you should put into consideration. This is what organizations are hiring in your field. This is what they're looking for. This is what a typical CV should look like. So you might want to update your CV pending, when we can place you and all of that, so that you will be up to date. Your CV will be okay, and everything, all the boxes will be checked for you, so you can, have the opportunity to be placed, or however we want to do it, right? Or we just want to scrape trends. So we just want to scrape trends, so that way we can use that trends to write the message to them. So once we get the trends, right, we want to write them the message. And once we have written them the message, of course, um, we can have two things here. If we want to be meticulous and if we are just testing out the system in our workflow, right, or in the agency, I would say let's have like a recruiter come in, use like max 5 minutes, review it, make sure everything is good before they can send it out, right? But if you want to remove that, you can just have it directly sent to the candidate, right? But just for, like I said, two facts or two FA, so that we, especially when we are still testing out the system and all of that. So what we can do is, after we write the message, then we draft the email, and after we have drafted the message to be sent, or we can then notify a recruiter. So they can just take like 2 minutes of their day to, of course, review that and send. Nothing max that, nothing more than 2 minutes. Review it, sure that everything is good, and they can just go ahead and push that, right? So this is what it will typically look like, right? So for the tools here, right, I'm using a table. So this one, a table, will take care of it. That's my own database, but yours will be your ATS, whatever you're using. And then to scrape trends, Perplexity is good for scraping trends, so that is what we are going to use. And then to write the message, we'll use OpenAI. And then to draft the email, we are going to, of course, use our email. And then to notify the candidate, the recruiter rather, we are going to use our communication tool. A lot of agencies use Slack, but whatever you're using, say Teams, whatever, just that's the tool that you want to connect. So yeah, this is what we are going to try to replicate in our automation tool. So let's just get right into and start building, right? So if you're currently using Make, you can just could come in here and start building. But if you're using any other automation tool, say Zapier, anything, whatever, it's still going to be the same logic, right? It's just going to be maybe like different of the way the UI looks and all of that. So let's just get started with this on Make. So you're going to create a scenario here. So as you can see, our first setup is to search the database. So in my own case, it's a table, but yours can be your ATS. So you want to just connect your ATS to, so that you can search the data from your ATS. So we are going to be searching records here. And if you're using, of course, you have to establish your connection with whatever tool you're using. But since mine is already established, we're going to work with that. So the base here is going to be what I have here, this demo database that I have here, which I call candidates database. And the table here is going to be my candidates table. And the view, I'd like to just leave these sort of things, like empty. Really doesn't matter. What matters for me is going to be this formula, because that's what it's going to use to search. I like to just copy what is here, just so I don't mix this up. And then I'm going to come here to be sure I get it right. So it is status capital S and rejected capital R. So if you mix up the spellings or mix up like the word format, you're not going to get anything. So we do rejected here. And then I set the limit to whatever you want. We'll just do one for this demo purpose. And then I'm going to go ahead and save this. And of course, always remember to save your work. The next thing I'm going to do is add another module. In this case, what else are we doing here? We want to scrape trends using Perplexity. So we are going to look for Perplexity here. And I want to create a chart completion. So my own connection already exists. If yours doesn't, just go to add here, sorry, go to online help to be able to see the documentation that Meg has on how you can get your API key. And once you're able to get your API key, just come in and put it here and you'll be able to save the connection. So once your connection is saved, just come down and let's start, the model. So you can work with whatever model you prefer, depending on what output you're looking at, right? So Persona Pro works well. Let's just do the deeper research, right? So you're going to go ahead and add your messages here. I already have it written somewhere just so I don't mix it up. So I'm just going to copy from there. But of course, like I always say, make sure your prompt is very good, because the better your prompt, the better your output, right? You want it to be leak proof so that candidates will not be able to tell that you didn't sit down to write the message. That's what you want to avoid. So our first role is going to be the system. And what we want to do here is, search the web and return news articles from verified sources about the job market and the trends about the role and skills that you're given. So we are going to add the second one here, which is going to be the user. And then we're going to go ahead and add the, role and skills, like we had said. But then for us to be able to get that, we have to get that from the okay, yeah, it pulls it up for us, which is good. So we are going to get that from here. The role, I don't have a role in my own database, but what I have is job applied for, which also means the role, so that also works as well. And then the skill set is here. So now we have that written out. Yeah, so now we have that written out. You can just put your max token here to be maybe like 2000 or 285, whatever you prefer works. And but just make sure it's not too low, because if it's too low, you might not get any good response. And then the search mode here, search the web. The temperature just tells you how much you want it to vary, and not like give you exactly what is saying from how creative, yeah, how creative you want it to be. That's what the temperature is. And the reasoning, if affects whatever you want to put in here, right? So you can just leave this as it is. It's not too necessary, but the main thing here is just that your prompt is very good and very fail proof, right? So once we have that, we save this, and then we come here, we save this. So in our build, the next thing is to write the message, right? So now we've gotten the trend. So we want to convert that trend to a message that we can send to a candidate, right? So we are going to do add a module here, and we're going to use OpenAI, right? And we're going to come down here, want to generate a completion. So my own connection already exists. If yours doesn't, also go to online help. You'll be able to see the documentation there and establish your own connection. So the model here, I like to go lower for text purposes, just so I will not be burning through so many tokens. But when it comes to implementation, you can go a bit higher so that you can get like better output. And our first message, I already also wrote that down, so we'll just work with that. So one thing that I just remembered is I think I want to break it into two, right? So the Perplexity is going to give us the raw message, like the way it gets it from the web. I want to use this first, OpenAI module to turn these articles into trends, what is happening, and all of that. And the second module, the second OpenAI module, can actually now use the trends to create the message. So that way, I don't know, I just like to split there and give an AI one task at a time. I wouldn't want it to look at the trend, summarize the trend, and still write the same message, and still write a message in the same, module. I like to break it down, summarize trends here, write, the message here. So let us do it that way. But of course, like I always say, just an idea. If it doesn't work for you, you can rework it to the way it actually works better for you in your agency. So we're going to go with text here, and here is my prompt. You are an industry you are an industry analyst. Read this article, extract main trend, hiring impact, skills in demand, candidate advice, return, JSON only, right? And so we're going to add the article here. And the article is, of course, going to come from choices and content. That's where it comes from. So yeah, you can just leave everything as it is. I don't think we need to change anything here. It works perfect for me. So the next thing that we're going to do now is just save this. So now that we have that saved, we're going to add another module, and the next module, like I already stated, is going to be another OpenAI, but this one is going to be generating the message, right? So of course, we'll still work with the previous connection, and our model is going to be like 4 mini as usual. And our first message is going to be the system message. And here is what my own system message looks like. You are a recruitment care advisor. I will provide you with the candidate details, write a personalized newsletter, include greetings to relevant industry trends, why they matter for these candidates, career advice, CTA, maybe like whatever we want here, any detail that you usually like give your dormant clients, like, oh, reach out to us if you have any questions or something, whatever works, and you can keep it under whatever length you prefer, because of course I don't think you should make it too lengthy, because then you bore them out, right? They don't want like something too big that they can't, like something too long that they can't read. So we keep it under, because this is the main reason why they're not even reading the news, because a lot of news articles are always too long, right? So we are going to keep it short so that they can just get the main information and go about their day. So whatever, but of course it's an idea, whatever works for you. If you want to change the way it currently, if this doesn't align with the way you're currently doing in your agency, you would have to look at that in your strategy meeting with your team, and we work the idea. So we're going to add a message here, and then we go ahead and add the candidate details here. So here are all the details I want to provide. So the candidate's name I want to provide from here. Where? Yeah, here. Okay, so the job applied, that's the role I want to put here, and the skills I want to pick from here, and the latest industry trend I want to pick from the last one, which is here. So okay, that's all I need. I'll just go ahead and save this. And of course, always remember to save your work. I don't know why this thing keeps doing this. I'll just save this, and of course, always remember to save your work. So the next thing that we want to do now is to send the message. But one thing that I've noticed, because the message is going to be sent out as an email, like we had stated, the only information that we have, unless you work differently with your team, of course, maybe you do like WhatsApp, you do like SMS, whatever you do. Like I always say, take it in the strategy call, and we work, the way so that it can fit into the way your company currently works. So what is important here is that this particular one is an email, right? So we want the email better formatted in the candidate's inbox. We don't just want to send them an email and it's scattered everywhere and it's going to look funny, because nobody writes like that, right? So we have to take one step here to be able to turn this email that we have into an HTML, the message that we have into an HTML. That way it is better formatted in the recipient inbox. So for us to be able to do that, I found that OpenAI does a better job than other AI modules that I've used to try to write HTML. So we are going to call OpenAI, and we're going to generate a completion. So of course, we're still going to work with the previous connection, and our model is going to be the 4mini, and we add the message here. The first one is going to be the developer message, which can look something like this. So convert the email below into a very nice HTML email so it can be better formatted in the recipient inbox. Return the email subject and the email body as a JSON. Return only the JSON, no markdown, no words, no anything. So we are going to go ahead and add the email here. Of course, the role for this email is going to be user, so you don't need to change that. So the email is going to be the last thing here, right? So we are going to go in and then we are going to save this. I'm going to save this and we're going to save this. I'm going to save this. Okay, so the next thing here is going to be sending the message, but again we cannot just send the message because what we have given here is for you to return the email subject and the email body, and it's going to cluster it in one bundle. It's going to put it in one message. So we need to extract the email subject as a standalone thing on its own, and as well as the email body, so that way we are able to put the email body where it's supposed to be and put the email subject where it's supposed to be. So for us to be able to do that, we need something called a JSON. So we're going to pass a JSON, and so we do JSON here and we do pass JSON. Excuse me. So now that we have our JSON, the next thing that we want to do is, of course, choose our data structure. So if you already have the data structure, you can use it from here. But if you don't, you're just going to come to this add. There are two ways you can add these. Either you generate this using a data. So for you to be able to generate this, you have to get a sample data from the previous run. So that means you have to come to this OpenAI module and run this and get the output and put it here. It will automatically generate the structure for you. But if you don't want to do that, you can just come in here and name it. What do we want? We want subject. And the bad thing about this is that sometimes if the name doesn't tally, it's not going to work, right? So now that means it is much more important for you to even run this, get the output and put it so that you would see if it's going to return it as email subject or just subject. Because if it returns it as email subject and not subject, you would have to, figure out. Or alternatively, let's just do something tricky here. Let's just create both of them, email subject and subject, and so we're going to do this. The description is this is the subject of the email. Of course, all of them, the type is going to be text, and you add another item here, which is the body. And this is the body of the email. This description is not necessary. So the only thing that is necessary is the name. So, but let's just do it. This is the body of the email. And we can add another one here, which we're going to call email subject. Let's see if we can, beat the system. But if it just throws up an error, we can always just, remap it to whatever it gives us. So it really doesn't matter, right? So once we have that, you can call this candidate. What's this, like candidate, say outreach structure. I mean, the name depends on you. It's not. So you save this, right? And then you're going to call the JSON string from the result of the previous run, that's OpenAI module, and then you put it here, and then you save it. And of course, you always save this, save it anyway. So the next thing now is going to be drafting your email. So you're going to call your email, and you want to create a draft. And of course, my connection already exists. If yours doesn't, just click on this add, and you'll be able to add any type of connection, whether it be an IMAP, a Microsoft, Google restricted, whatever one you want to use still works as perfectly. So the next thing that you're going to do is select your folder here. So mine is going to obviously be my draft. I want to put it there, and then I'll add the recipient here to be the email that is here. That's the email on the candidate or the email of the candidate, and then the subject will be, I'm trying to be tricky here. So the subject should just ideally be one of them, but because we created two, let's just see if, when we run this one time, if the AI is going to build on either of them. Let's just see that, like I said, it's better you run this get the output and put it in here and generate the JSON just so you won't be guessing, because we're actually guessing right now. And the content is going to be body, and we do email body as well. It's funny, I've never actually tried it before, but it's fun to try it. So we'll do save here, and of course we save it here. Right, the next thing we want to do is notify a recruiter so they can just go skim to it, so they can just go skim through it and make any corrections if there are any, and just shoot it over to the candidate. So we want to notify the recruiter on Slack. So we'll do Slack, and then we do send the message. I know I just missed it. Yeah, send the message. So depending, you can decide to send these to like the recruiters group, or if it's like a one person that is dedicated to in communications, so the person takes care of all communications with candidates, that person or the communication advisor or whatever the person is will be the one to receive this message. But if you want to send it to the group, whichever ones do work, so the ID here can be from the list. So you can see here that you can send to a public channel, or you can send to a private channel, or you can send it to a direct message, or you can send a direct message to multiple people. Like if there is a team of people that take care of outreach, or outreach communication, all those kind of things, you might send it to them. So depending, but let's just do the public channel, a bit like the recruiter channel. There is a message, there is an email, let's just call them text here, an email drafts that needs your attention. Of course, you can paste a better message for your recruiters. And yeah, once we do that, we just go ahead and we save this. And of course, we save this. So now that we are done with this, we are going to go ahead and just run this one time to see what you're going to get. So it's currently trying to get the trends right now. Okay, it's currently trying to get the trends. It's now drafting the message. It's now trying to convert it to HTML. Okay, it has sent out the draft, and of course it has sent out the notification. So what we're going to do is check our draft to see what it looks like. So we do inbox, so we come to draft here, and we can see here, so apparently we didn't get that mapping right, so let's see what we missed. So it's actually small subject and I think small body. Yeah, so yeah, we still missed it even with our prediction. So what we're going to do now is come here and we map these. So we're going to, you can see where it came out here. So we're going to put this in here and put this in here. Another thing that we can do is, just to prevent this from happening in your own case, is when you're writing the prompt for the JSON, tell it to return the subject in, code. You should, put it there that this is what you should name the subject. So maybe capital subject or small subject, whatever you prefer. So you put the subject in braces and say call, name the subject this and name the body this. So that way, when you're creating your JSON, you can just create that and it will pass it through that. Right, so now that we have these, we're going to save these, and just so we are extra careful again, because sometimes, because we don't have that in our because we do not have that in our prompt, it might move between titles. So you can call it subject with capital A's, the next one it calls it subject with small a's. So let's just not run into that. But like I said, the best foolproof way to fix this is to add it in your prompts, that it should always return the subject as named as this particular thing, maybe like subject with a small a's or email subject, and always return the body as email body. It shouldn't ever switch the names. Right, that's what will stop this from happening. So we're going to run it one more time to fix that error. So now that this has run through successfully, let's go in now. You can see that we now have our draft here. So you see how this looks. High colors. UX roles are currently 30% below their 2021 highs, and AI automation is reshaping responsibilities. Employers now seek designers who drive ROI through data-backed design decisions, leverage AI augmented workflows like Figma generative features, showcase end-to-end product or mobile web with measurable impact. Small and mid-sized companies are hungry for versatile pros who can own every phase of the progress, ready for these next steps. Looking forward to seeing your next move. Okay, so this works, right? But of course, it could have been better. Like I always said, the better your prompt, the better the output. But the whole, idea works perfectly. So the one thing that you want to do here is fix your prompts, make sure that your prompts are good to go. And once you have this, of course, your recruiters will always come here, review this, and just send. It's going to take them less than 2 minutes. Review and send. I really hope this was helpful. If you did, subscribe to this channel. I post more workflows about recruitment ops and how to cut down the admin work that is going on in the recruitment agency. So thank you so much for sticking around. I'm going to be seeing you in my next one. But if you have any questions, leave it in the comments. I will be responding to all of them. And if you run a recruitment agency and you want something more tailored and personalized for you, you want to be able to cut down the admin that is currently going on in your agency so that you can generate more revenue, then you might want to book a strategic call with me. The link is going to be in the description. Thank you so much for sticking around once again. I will see you in my next one. Mwah.